Metal Summoners, what's up, guys? It is so awesome, as always, to be with you guys. Kicking off your weekend right here in the middle of the week. We are partying it up every single Wednesday. This is your Island of Misfit Toys with myself and with Angel Alamo. We are super duper stoked. We appreciate you guys supporting the show, but also supporting live music and getting out there and allowing interviews like this to happen with guests like we've got tonight, allowing them to be out on the road and also concentrate on all the various ventures that they do in their non-stage time, of which there are quite a few to discuss this evening. We are very, very super excited. Thank you so much in advance to his time. But Kenny Wilkerson, Nova Rex is in the house. Thank you so much, man. We appreciate it, and welcome to the Metal Summit. How are you?
Hey, thanks, Jay. Thanks, Angel. No, I appreciate it, man. I'm just living the dream, baby. Absolutely. Now, I'm not as cool as Jay, though, because I almost wore the sunglasses, but I didn't.
There's still time.
I know, right? They're out in the car, man. Trust me.
No, absolutely.
No, but see, I got a hat on now, so I got the shadow. See,
yes.
You know what I'm saying? So that covers up a few wrinkles.
Anyway. just a couple. Well, just a couple of the crows.
Oh, you kidding me, man? The older you get, you just start freaking melting. You know.
Well, I mean, it can't really be that bad. I mean, you're turning what, 29 next month?
Exactly. No, I'm telling you, man, I'm stupid, because if I could have done it all again, I went for the whole pretty boy thing. You know what I mean? And did that my whole life. But dudes like Alice Cooper, Kiss, Rob Zombie, I should have been them. You just put makeup on and you're the same age till you die.
Mm-hmm.
Before I'm done, I'm just going to have one of those masks on. You'll just be able to see my eyeballs.
Oh, there you go. Just finish off the next Nova Rex album will be called Lone Ranger.
Yeah, exactly. Right. Do like the Kiss thing, you know.
Exactly.
It's all cool, man. I'm glad everything's cool, and I'm glad to have you guys have me on, and lots of cool stuff going on.
Absolutely, man. Well, first and foremost, man, because it's the most recent news. Your guys' documentary is live, is able to get picked up on streaming services, physical copies like what you're holding right there. I mean,
look at it. On the plastic, right?
Look at it.
Here it is. What's it say here? It says, rock and roll ain't pretty. That's why it wears makeup.
So why don't you give us a little background history into the documentary? How did it come about? What was it about, getting the Nova Rex story out there?
Well, what happened was back in 2011. Well, first of all, the band's been together almost 39 years.
Yeah.
So I was a baby when I started, man. I was the baby in the band. I was 18. So, and now I'm 100. But what we did back in 2011, 2010, I did a greatest hits CD just out of the blue. The band kind of fizzled out there in the 2000s, like every band did from that scene. And, but I seen the CDs were selling. So I ended up doing a greatest hits, cut a new song with my old guitar player, JP, who was in the band 30 years. And, so after I did that, I got a hold of a buddy up in Indiana who ran a rock mag back in the day, one of those little rock rags. And I said, hey, man, I got all these videos on VHS. Can you put them on YouTube to support the greatest hits CD? And he's like, dude, you got enough stuff. We should just do a documentary. So in 2011, I actually did a documentary over the weekend, 3 days. That's it. And after I was done, I was like, this thing is 70 minutes. It actually tells a story. It's kind of good. I wasn't even planning on doing anything with it. So I sent it off to Showtime. And Showtime owned the documentary channel, which was on Dish and Drag, 200 and some million homes. And it got played there. What's funny is the acquisition person was from my hometown.
Oh, wow.
So they knew the band. So it was a slam dunk. And then after that, I went to Netflix, which was kind of fun because the documentary channel, after a couple of years, got bought out. And I know it got seen a lot because I had people, well, first of all, my tour money went up. And then the other thing was I was going places and they go, hey, man, I seen you on the History Channel, or I seen you on, they always had the wrong channel, but they knew I was in a band. So I ran on that for a while, ended up getting a National Budweiser sponsorship. I'm all about sponsors, and did a bunch of crazy stuff. And now here it is a dozen years later. And basically how the doc started, I thought about it during COVID. Because here's the thing, unfortunately for bands, especially, the music business is completely upside down, right? There's no music business anymore. Only thing that's left is touring live. There's no money on album sale, unless you're in the 1%, the Taylor Swift, your Bruno Mars, your JT and stuff, Metallica, but I mean, there's that little bit, but that's really the 1%. All these other guys, you look at these bands that I grew up looking up to that sold 15 million albums, and I'm catching them in bars. And I remember watching them when I was a kid. They were in arenas. Yeah. So it's wild how all that happens. But basically during the downtime, I was like, well, what are we going to do? And then I thought about, well, everybody wants to get this record deal per se, right? That's going to change. Oh, let's get a record deal. Well, what does that even mean anymore? So if they're not putting money behind it, they're just distribution, and you still have to sell it on your own. So I thought, well, record deal, small label, documentary for, basically 75 minutes on, like Prime. To me, it was a no-brainer. And plus, the thing about Nova Rex is we didn't have that big turn up the radio or smooth up in you or whatever, you know what I mean? So the story has a lot to do with it. And it's interesting. I mean, if you like 80s metal, you like rock and roll, it's a freaking circus. Nobody really knows how crazy the music business really is. It's a freaking joke, dude. I laugh about it. Even back then, we were making fun of it. I mean, listen, I put out an album in 1994 called Nova Rex Ain't Easy Being Cheesy. That was my album. And that was our attempt to fight grunge. I mean, that's what we were doing. I mean, Nirvana comes out and I'm opening for Jackal. You know what I mean? Still doing it, right? So I didn't really get it. And then it's just weird how all the bars changed and went, they closed and went country, all that kind of stuff. And all that stuff I'm talking about, it's all in the doc. I mean, the doc, and it's funny. And I mean, it's always a tongue-in-cheek kind of thing, It's like the 80s metal guys. You used to just be able to move their hairdos around.
Right.
You know what I mean? What band is that guy from? It looks like he's from that, so just making fun of it. I love it. I live that life. So, I mean, it's not that I don't love it.
Oh, absolutely. No, there's this classic like scene from like The Simpsons that's still one of my very favorite like things that they did. It pertains to the 80s scene. Right. Is I think it was something like Otto the bus driver was getting married and this band was playing and he's like, thank you guys so much. We're Poison. And then like the drummer, like the guitar player says I thought the guitar player or the bass player is like, I thought we were Rat. And then the drummer stands up. He's like, well, it says on my bass that we're Quiet Riot. Like,
oh, funny. I didn't see that one. That's funny. A lot of name dropping.
Yeah, dude. You just have to, it's just a really funny scene where like, it's just, yeah, all of the members of the same band that think they're a different like glam band or something.
Some of them do jump around, right?
You
know what I mean? So
absolutely.
Especially these days. And what's funny? It's like the bands that I grew up with. Like I do a thing where I talk about Rudy Sarzo, kind of being my idol, kind of why I started music. I seen an Ozzy concert, blah, 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 right? Just, same story all the kids have. But I mean, freaking Rudy's 70, 71.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I mean, he still kills it, but I mean, these guys are getting up there in age. I'm getting up there in age.
Angel and I just saw him at the M3 festival 4 months ago.
Awesome, right?
Yeah.
The guy's got it, man. You know what I mean? He's just a rock star, period.
Absolutely.
But I was lucky that I got to interview him, and that was a big deal. And I mentioned it in the doc as well. So you just a lot of stories about just, we're kind of like that band that's kind of the little band that could, up the train. I basically, for me, I do whatever I want to do. Yeah. I mean, the thing is, so after we did the documentary, even back in 2011, and I'll tell you why I got to the 2023 one. But when I did it, I put a whole outfit in the Smithsonian representing 80s hair metal. I was the only band that ever did that. They never had anything after that. Matter of fact, about 6 months later, they got a guitar from Kiss that was broken. Paul Stanley, right? Yeah. He credited me for that. He called me to tell me that, hey, guess what? Since I got your stuff, I've got Kiss. I got a Princess Purple Rain guitar. It just woke him up, right? Mm-hmm. And how that happened was when the doc first came out, I called my mom back in Indiana and I said, there's a hometown museum that's been there 100 years. Never even been to it before, right? But I said, hey, all that stuff that's in a Foot Locker, old swag and stuff, I said, just give it to the museum. So damn, they threw me a parade. I mean, I went up there and they threw me a parade, okay, in my small town, 2 stoplights. So I go to this is back in 2011, right? And then after that, I thought, well, that was easy enough. I should go after the Hard Rocks, right? I mean, They take everything. Corporate was in Orlando. So I dropped them off a jacket. And then about 5 years ago, that's back in 2011. 5 years ago, they opened a brand new Hard Rock up in Daytona. And they put my jacket up there. They called me and all this, right?
I saw the picture of you and Ricky.
Ricky right beside it. Yeah, exactly. So he came in for that too. Because I called him. I said, hey, Ricky, I'm doing this thing. Your jacket's next to mine. Matter of fact, he just texted me yesterday, said he's coming back to Orlando for his what's the thing he's doing? 1 Foot in the Gutter or something like that.
Oh yeah, yeah. His spoken word thing.
Yeah, he's coming down in like 1st of November into October or something. But anyways, so that happened, and then as a gag, somebody said to me, "Hey, if you can do this, you can do that. Hometown Museum, whatever. This, blah blah blah. Go get the Smithsonian." Damn, if I didn't track it down, there's like 7 or 8 or 9 museums up there, and it's the National Museum of American History, and and I swear to God, they put a whole outfit. These chaps that are all bedazzled. I've got boots with spurs on them. I mean, come on, man, right? So I sent all that stuff up there, and they have it in a collection of fashion. It's a fashion collection. So I'm there representing 80s metal beside the freaking Bee Gees. I'm not even kidding. So that happened. And then I was up in Indiana about a month ago, just visiting mom, right? Just visiting mom. And I went to the Indiana State Museum, which I never even thought about it. And I went up there, and of course, I'm going up there the 29th of this month on a Friday to do the whole unveiling and everything. They got some cool pants that I got. They got this cool jacket. They got old from the late 80s band t-shirt, So it's going to be a pretty cool thing. 1890 was when it was built. It has 305,000 people go through it a year. And dude, I'm beside Axl Rose, David Lee Roth, David Letterman, freaking Dan Quayle, Bobby Knight, Larry Bird, Reggie Miller. You can start getting your basketball players in there, but it's really cool stuff. And I'm actually really excited about that one because it's the State Museum, right?
Oh, yeah.
And it's really about me. I mean, let's be honest, right? I'm from there. I'm the Hoosier,
so right?
It's a pretty cool thing, and I'm excited to bring a bunch of family and stuff there next week, and I'll have pictures. I'll have pictures on Friday, a week from Friday. I'll have all kinds of stuff up, right?
Absolutely.
And and the reason I did it too, believe it or not, is because I know that the Indianapolis Star and some other newspapers will come out for that, which is part of a bigger setup, if you know what I mean. You know how they're part of Garment, part of the Chicago Tribune. Oh, my light went out. And they what was I going to say? So anyways, if they come out and do a story on that, then I could promote the documentary.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's kind of the reason I did it. Plus, I can.
Yeah. No, 100%. So as like a follow, nice. So as like a follow-up to that, again, to promote the documentary, and then we're going to bring Angel in, is the one thing about a documentary is everybody has a story to tell, a history and things that they're all about.
Right.
But when it comes to documentaries, you really have to feel that you've got a story to tell, to want to put in the time and the effort, especially for something like yourself, where you guys also put it out as a hard copy release, where not only is it just being streamed, it's not just being streamed, where it's like, hey, this little independent thing was willing to pick up our documentary so you could check it out here if you want. You were picked up on multiple platforms as streaming, but you also paid to have physical copies done as well. What is it about the history of Nova Rex for you that you feel needed to be out in the public eye like that?
Well, and it is really personal, by the way. It's a little scary. I put it out, and there's footage of me and things that I say or some other guys in the band have said that it's not really like, gives you one of those. I mean, it's pretty comical because it's rock and roll's comical, dude. I mean, it's a freaking joke. Everything, I can give you so many stories. It's stupid. So I had a bunch of comical stories. Plus, let's not forget, you had The Dirt, right? Which was kind of big. It was a pretty big deal. But again, that's a movie. That's not really a documentary. They're not in it. You know what I mean? There's actors and this and that, blah, 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 right? Made up names, and it's a story, right? Yeah. The first doc got compared a lot to Spinal Tap, obviously, right? But again, that's a movie. It was directed by Rob Reiner. You know what I mean? It's not a documentary. So that's good things to be associated with. Don't get me wrong. Yeah. So it has that feel to it, right? But the story of us is it's a story that a lot of other bands probably have, except I told it for one. You know what I mean? You can tell me all your stories, but I did it. You know how hard it is to put a 75-minute together documentary that makes sense and has the right timeline and tells a story on 5-second clips. I mean, it's a lot of clips, dude. I mean, that's all you ever do is 3 to 5 second clips, right? Just chop, 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 chop for 75 minutes. But I think it tells a story, it tells the ups and downs of rock and roll. We talk about the grunge thing for a minute, just how it put us out. It didn't just put us out, it put a lot of bands out. We talk about hair metal, you know, how these were like the last bands that got signed, and we were part of that, you know what I mean? And the grunge and everybody running Seattle. So that was there. And we talk about the different guys that I had in the band. I mean, me personally, in the 38 years that I've been running a band, I've had guys Baker acted, I've had alcoholics, I've had sex addiction, I've had, you know what I mean? I've had everything you can possibly imagine. So that's kind of comical. Or just how you don't know how, like on the road, the biggest problem on the road, the biggest problem is that, well, first you got a bunch of stinky guys in a van or a bus or whatever, it doesn't matter. It's, you know, is food. I mean, I've had fist fights on the side of the interstate on who wants to eat now and who don't want to eat and where they want to go and who don't want to go. You know what I mean? Yeah. So it's just comical. Like, it's just like raising little kids.
Yeah.
So it's, and then just the expectation, you know, everybody wants that brass ring, right?
Yeah.
But there isn't one. You know, the thing is, what's the difference between me and the bass player from, say, Whitesnake? You know what I tell you the difference is? Well, I mean, the guy's probably talented as hell, but the difference is he just has more money. That's it. You know, I mean, I make a joke like, you know, Def Leppard after Def Leppard, I said it wrong. Def Leppard after a show, they may have 100 girls in, you know, in the back, right? And we only had 20. That's kind of funny, man. I mean, there's only 4 guys in the band, by the way. Just keep that math together. But I mean, I lived it, right? So there's no real big difference. And we played enough arenas off and on and enough festivals. I've done them all.
Yeah.
And you know, the funny thing is and this, you know, showing up like in Texas, got a big gig, we're headlining, show up, and it's a nudist resort. And you don't know it till the second you show up. You know what I mean? The guy's naked at the gate. I'm like, oh my God, you know, so just crazy stories. So the reason I ended up taking the band and putting it back on the road and going for it is because I wanted to be the guy that had new memories. You know, I can tell you stories. Oh yeah, I remember that time my singer got in a fight with Blackie Lawless at the freaking, you know, that stuff was 100 years ago. Yeah. But I can tell you, you know, I just played a new resort last week and that was crazy as hell, you know? Yeah. So, and the other thing that's funny too, for me, and for you probably as well, do you remember when we were kids, you know, 20, 21, before cell phones and all this other stuff? These guys, we idolized them like they were superheroes.
Yeah.
And back then you couldn't even get to them. You know that, right? I mean, you couldn't hardly get to these guys. And now I got most of them on freaking my phone. Hey, what are you doing?
Crazy. It is crazy with that kind of stuff, Kenny, because it's also interesting when that whole ground shift, because back in the day, dude, like with you guys, but also all of those bands, pre-social media, pre-phones, even things like a member change, you had to wait for a press release.
You had to make an announcement.
The record label and the band had to be ready to put out that news. You know, we have decided that we have fired Vince Neil.
Right.
We would like to welcome in John Corabi. This is where we heard him, and this is how we want him in there.
Right.
But it's crazy with that kind of stuff versus now you can see a cell phone video of where, like, you know, Kenny Wilkerson punched out Blackie Lawless.
Oh, right.
And
then, on a ladder, but yeah.
No, true. But you know what I mean. But like, you know, and that, like, where
it's instantaneous.
Like, yeah. But where you could see, like, you know, this person knocks out their bass player because of a fight on stage. And then within a week, there's the curiosity of if that person's going to stay in the band. And then by the following week is, we've decided to part ways with this person. And coming up in 3 days, we're going to let you know who their replacement is. That wasn't a thing in the 80s, not even really in the 90s. You had to wait for the bands and the record labels. Like it was much more internal and secretive.
Yeah, well, you try to keep stuff private like that back then. You know what I mean? I mean, I even talk about voting. Remember when you used to vote, like my mom and dad used to vote in the old days when I was a little kid? They wouldn't even tell me who they were voting for.
Right.
That was a personal choice. And now people wear shirts and whatever, right? So it's like, you know, and I go, okay, you're stupid, you know what I mean? But the thing is, it's too much out there. I always say about social media, the thing about social media, and we're obviously talking YouTube and Twitter and things like that, Facebook, is that you can be heard. Anybody can be heard. The problem is everybody can be heard, so nobody gets heard. That's the problem. So I'm competing with a band that's had 38 years. You know, we played a song for 2 years live before I even recorded it. You know what I mean? To make sure it was any good. And now I'm competing with some dude out of Thailand that's got a drum machine in one song, you know, and 15 million views. I can't compete with that. I don't know how. That's not a band. And you have to think about it even now. If you think about all the one percenters, you know, when I was telling out the Taylor Swift, your Bruno Mars, and your JT, your Beyonce, all that, right? They're all solo artists. There's no bands. Who's the bass player for Pink? I don't know who the bass player is for Pink. Who even cares, right? It could be anybody from week to week, from day to day, right? So the band thing is thing. And the other thing that kills me too is just that the songs are getting so generic. You know, I mean, I made a joke a couple years ago. I dropped a release, right? A single. Because that's what you do now. You do singles because you can't make any money on them and people are going to steal them for free anyways, right? Yeah. So I made a 30-second single just to be a dick. Because the thing is, these songs are like, these people are recording songs that are like 1 minute and 50 seconds now. I mean, they don't have guitar solos in them or nothing anymore. Yeah. It's going to get, and then now with AI, that's going to be a whole other, just speaking of that, I'm working on an AI music video now. I don't even need the band. I don't even need the band. So it's like, I can just snag stuff. You know what I mean? And I got a 22-year-old kid that, you know, he knows what to do, right? He's been on it from day one. He knows the AI thing. I mean, matter of fact, I was talking about John Lennon because you heard the story a couple months ago where they found some Beatles tunes. Yeah. And make a new song and blah, blah, blah. Well, they actually have a cassette of it. So they actually have some reference. But I told my son, and damn, if he didn't send me back a song, he says, what's the name of the singer? And I was like, blah, blah, blah. So anyways, he sent me a song. I think it's Space Odyssey or something, you know, that music kind of thing. But he had John Lennon singing it. And he did it in 15 minutes. And dude, it was 95% there. All the little things. And because John Lennon has so much music out that when you go and you want to have him sing the word A, the letter A or what, it's there. AI can catch it. It can find the spots and put it where it needs to be. For sure. I really predict, I said 5 years, but I think now it's going to be more like 3, that AI is going to wipe everything out, dude. It's going to write out singers, songwriters, writers, you know, the actor strike or the writer strike. You ain't going to need them with AI. I mean, AI can put websites together for you. It's crazy, dude. I've been playing with it. I'm not smart enough to keep up because I'm starting to age out of it, you know, but man, I think it's really going to change everything. I think somebody's going to win a damn Oscar and not even be an actor.
Right. There'll be a hologram.
It will be. I mean, you know, they're trying to do that already, right? They did that trying to do that with Dio, right?
Yep, for sure.
I see that happening pretty soon. And again, I asked my son, I'm like, hey man, you want to go see a concert? Because, you know, he don't care about his dad, you know, being a rocker. And he's like, Dad, I've seen concerts. I'm like, what he said? He said, like, I watched Chili Peppers. I'm like, okay, that's cool. But what he did, he's got the VR set, dude. Yeah. You can go to a Chili Peppers concert and be in the 4th row with a camera that turns 360, and you can go on and be on the stage and look to your left and see Flea jumping up and down. You know, it's crazy, the stuff. But I was trying to explain to my son that is not a concert. Yeah. You know, concerts, the sights, the smells, the being in it's the community. Yeah. You know, people. So I think it'd probably be hard to get laid too on a VR set. You know what I mean?
Probably.
You know what I mean? You got to get out of the house, dude.
Exactly, for sure. So one more thing real quick in this segment before I kick it down to Angel is, so when it comes to music being put, you know, history of bands being put out there, you've got mockumentaries like Spinal Tap. You've got biopics like The Dirt and Bohemian Rhapsody. And then you've got documentary stuff like The Decline of Western Civilization. When it came to the documentary for Nova Rex, did you take any or all of that into consideration? Obviously, yours is a documentary, not a mockumentary. You and your mates are not being portrayed by actors, so it's not a biopic. It's a full-on documentary. But still, when it came to the building of the presentation, did you kind of look at the way bands were being portrayed in recent media?
No, I can only tell my story. You know, I mean, obviously, everybody knows the Spinal Tap movie. I could quote that damn thing. And what happened for me, I'll be honest, what happened for me in 2011 when we did the first documentary, Ain't Easy Being Cheesy, that's the same time within about 3 months after Anvil's movie. Oh. And at the time, if you remember, who else had a documentary before then? It wasn't very many. No. I mean, and actually, Anvil had a whole other setup, by the way. You know, it's 2 Canadian dudes that never really had a hit, blah, blah, blah. But after that documentary, they were on the road opening for Metallica.
Yep.
So I was like, hey, you know what I mean? How do I get that kind of love and money? But you remember it came out on MTV, right?
Yeah.
So they had that push. Now with the Prime and a couple of these other places, I just say Prime because Prime's 220 million subscribers. It's big. Is that it's still really up to me to promote it. You know what I mean? So that sucks, but it is what it is. I mean, you just have to kind of keep it out there, make sure people know it's there. It's like promoting a website almost, you know, or something. Even if you had a new song, you got to still send it to somebody.
Yeah.
You know, they don't know how to get to it, right? That's the problem with social media. Because just too much is out there, right? So, but no, we just told the story. I mean, it's a crazy 80s rockin' story. I mean, we talk about some stupid stuff that we did, you know. I mean, I start off even in the old doc, which is a clip of it. But when I first met JP, I was 18. I remember going down to Tampa for the first time to meet him. And I met that dude. I walked up to him. I walked up to the hotel room to meet him, right? Because they needed a bass player, right? And I walked up to him and I met the singer outside. And he's like, JP's in the room. So I go in the room. I'm looking for JP. And that dude was hanging naked in the closet with gravity boots. That was day one.
Oh my God.
And then I just remember stupid crap that he did more than me because I was a baby, right? He was like 29 or something. Just got off the road with Buddy Miles, you know, from Hendrix. And I was like, we had a rule for a while. We used to have scales at the front door that you had to step on before you could come into our hotel room. We had it for like 2 years. You had to be topless to come into our rooms. And I remember walking in there and having like 15 chicks in a hotel room, you know, 2 beds and 15 chicks.
Yeah.
So that's how my rock. So I was a complete mess, man. And then being 18, 19, 20, that age, living like that. And then, I mean, I didn't even go on my first date until I was almost 29 years old.
Oh, wow.
I mean, a date. Like you open the door, you pay for the movie. I mean, typically it was like, hey, can you bring Susie by or whatever? You know what I mean? Yeah. And by the way, I want some Haagen dogs and some new boots.
Nice.
You know, that's where we used to run.
Yeah.
And they talk about the fashion, right? I mean, the fashion was big for me. And basically it's just because we borrowed our girlfriend's clothes.
Yeah.
We didn't have any money.
Yeah.
You know, give me the eyeliner, you know what I mean? Give me the thing, give me the hairspray. Hey, can I have that bracelet? Oh, I need some new shoes, you know? It was just, and there was a lot of strippers involved too at that point, but because we had the same hours. Right. You know, they made money and we didn't make any money. So it kind of worked out. You know what I mean?
Right.
I remember one time I was looking for a place to stay. We were off the road for about a month. And I remember just driving to a strip club going, hey, I got no place to stay tonight. These 2 chicks are like, oh, we're good. We got a hotel over there traveling. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, we got a hotel over in Daytona Beach. And damn, if they didn't leave and left me there for a month, never seen them again. Oh, crazy. God. They were just paying for the room. That was just the weirdest thing. This crazy stuff had happened. And fights and, you know, almost getting, you know, I had Canadians in the band for a while, so we got deported a couple times. I mean, it was a whole bunch of stuff happening. Nice. But the good thing is I was able to capture a lot of that with VHS tapes. I actually recorded stuff. And plus, if you see me, I'm always hustling TV or something. Well, I was doing it back then. I was doing it back then too. You know what I mean? So I had all that stuff. I kept it. So then it was easier to tell the story. Now, it took me a year to edit it. I mean, I had somebody that did it for me, but it took a year. And that was just really trying to tell the story. And then you get too long, but it's definitely personal. Yeah. It's a little bit freaky, I'll tell you that. But I'm at the point now in my career, in my life, I don't even care. You know what I mean? Like, you know, hey, so I looked like fat that time or this or that or whatever, you know. I said something stupid, but it was funny.
Yeah.
And you'll see the ups and downs. I mean, I have stories where guys in my band, you know, are really struggling with rock. And listen, when I mean, like I said, after I got off the road, and I mean, I was medicated for a couple of years, went to psychiatrists and all kinds of stuff. I was a freaking total mess in a fun way. I mean, it's not like I was going to kill myself or not. It was just like, what the hell? I have no social skills. Right. None. I had none. I didn't know how to. I had anything because my socials, and even back before social media, you know, talking about, we were the kind of guys that we used to go into the bathrooms. These are kind of fun times, but you know, you show up at a club about 3:00 to do sound check, right? Wherever's at, North Carolina, wherever you're at, right? Yep. We were the guys that would take magic markers and go into the girls' bathroom and write bad shit about ourselves on the walls. You know, so and so's got a little pee or whatever. You know, we were that guy. That was social media back in the day.
Yeah.
We'd pass bands on the road, you know. A gas station, something. They're going, hey, where are you guys going? Oh, we're going to St. Louis. Oh, tell Becky we said hi. You know what I mean, right? Like, hey, who's going to Becky tonight, right? I'm like, I'm not even there yet. Who's Becky? Or back then, we used to show up at sound checks, and there would be a dozen girls waiting for sound checks, and they didn't even. And all they had was a flyer to see who the band was. Never even seen us before.
867-5309, dude. Jenny.
That's all they did. They used to show up for sound check. Crazy. So those times are kind of gone. I really kind of curious to see how these young bands run these days. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I could definitely understand that for sure. But Metal Summoners, you guys have to make sure that you check all that out. If you like freaky fun, then you guys need to check out that right there, the Nova Rex documentary, which we will circle back around to. But we are going to put a bow and a tie on that segment for the time being, because we are going to kick it down to our birthday boy. Happy birthday.
Boy.
We'll appreciate you, brother.
Thank you.
Hope you had an absolute great birthday yesterday, man. And how are you doing today? And looks like Kenny's getting some love from the Metal Summoners.
Oh, sweet.
Oh, yeah. Just want to say to everybody, thank you that sent me birthday wishes. That was really awesome.
Well, Angel, just to let you know, I've got the card in the mail.
Cool. I'm looking forward to getting it.
It's going to have your birthday dollar in it.
Yep. You get $1 for every year you're born. That's what I used to get from my grandma.
Oh, nice.
Oh, you're 8. Here's $8.
Look, it's like 45. You're like, it's good to be 45. I don't know why people complain about getting old.
The 40, my 40s were pretty good because you're smart enough to know better, but still your back is strong enough to keep it going. You know what I'm saying? So that's what you got to worry about. It's just stuff falling apart.
Yeah, seriously.
Oh yeah, your knees start hurting.
Man, dude, no, listen. My thing right now, I used to have, how you have to warm up before you go on stage, right? Make sure your fingers are ready to go. Mm-hmm. Hell, I have to stretch now. That's what sucks. I don't want to blow out a freaking knee or something. Oh, I hear somebody.
Oh yeah, no, that's my better 2/3.
Yeah, better 2/3.
Yeah, exactly.
So, Angel, what'd you do on your birthday?
I went to the American Dream Mall. I just hung out there, did the big wheel, went to the aquarium.
So you had a nice day off then?
Yeah, it was a nice day off.
Yeah, good for you. Well, happy birthday on that. Did you get a good dinner and all that? You had birthday cake and all that, right?
I got dinner. Well, it's a Tuesday, so everyone cannot really
I know
make it out.
Right?
So.
Right. Well, look at this. Just have a birthday week. That's what everybody does nowadays, right?
Yeah.
So we'll party this
weekend. This weekend it's on.
I celebrated Angel's birthday last night at Saliva and Drowning Pool.
Great shows, great guys. I love it.
Yeah,
I miss who's the guitar player? Wayne.
Yeah.
That guy. We played in front of those guys a lot. Nice guys. I just remember the last time I seen Wayne was at a place called Rockin' Rivers in Montana, and that some bitch was brushing his teeth with Fireball. That's how he was. I swear to God. So, I mean, he was definitely running on the edge. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And listen, I'm telling you, you think like Saliva, which is a great freaking band, right? Love the band. I love the band. The guys are super nice, very talented. But they're road doggers, man. You know what I'm saying? They live on that bus. Yeah. And that's hard too, man. Hey, when you've been home 7 years, you know what I mean? Like that's brutal. And so rock and roll, you think it's fun. So even that, you got to do all that driving. You got to do all that hookup. We got to do everything to play 1 hour. That's what sucks. It's all the downtime,
Kenny, you're about the second rock star in weeks that has done a cookbook.
Yes.
So I wonder if you could talk about that. Well,
what I did was back in 2019, I was talking about that. I had another FM radio show. Well, what happened was I was talking to somebody about New Orleans. I just came back from New Orleans. Every time I go there, I'm a wreck for about a week afterwards because of the food. You eat the food and what are you going to come back and go to Olive Garden? It doesn't really work out. It takes a minute to recoup. And so I was talking about that. And the guy I was talking to, a famous bass player who plays with Mariah Carey and everybody. And of course, you don't know who he is because he's the bass player for Mariah Carey. The thing is, he's like, I'm from New Orleans. I got a recipe. It's 100 years old, gumbo, blah, blah, blah. So then I started collecting them. And after I had about 20, I found this charity down in South Florida called We Rock for Autism. And I kept seeing him at festivals, right? And then I ended up talking to him. And I was like, yeah, I have a son that's on the spectrum. And he's got Asperger's. And he's telling me about his thing and about the charity. And I was like, look, man, I'll do this book. And the money that I raise, I'll just give to you. So then after I said I had about 20 recipes, then I just started reaching out to the community, and I got 57 famous rockers. It's a almost a 2-pound hardback book. These are very expensive, by the way. And I've got members from Ozzy, Whitesnake, Quiet Riot, Stone Sour, Don Dokken. I got him in the very end. Twisted Sisters in it. Quiet Riot. I've got Frankie Banelli, God rest his souls, in it. Steve Lukather. I mean,
we talked to Steve. We talked to Steve about it. He was really funny because he's like, "Yeah, I don't cook, so I submitted a candy bar."
He did. And you know what's funny? That guy's smart as hell. I just seen him about 6 months ago, I think, because they're on the road with Journey, right? I think they were on the road with Journey. But I was like, that Snickers bar thing, because now Steve has a young son that has has autism, like a 10-year-old or something like that. So he's got a boy. I think that's got it pretty good, because there's different levels of it, right? Obviously, some are nonverbal and etc. But anyway, so when I said, "Hey man, I need something," he's like, "I don't cook." He's like, and the Snicker thing, that's the first thing everybody talks about. That's the first thing you mentioned. Right, the Snicker. So yeah, he's a smart guy, but it's great. I'm just glad to have him in. I mean, Steve's he's a rock god, right? Yeah. So, but no, it's fun. I just got and a lot of friends, a lot of '80s rockers that I've met throughout the years and stuff. I I tried to get Wayne from Saliva, but I didn't catch him. He was going to give me green fried tomatoes.
Oh, nice.
And I said, Steve, that's cool, but you got to give me a recipe. You can't just say green fried tomatoes. Hey, here's a good one. Chip. That's it. And yes,
chip, yeah.
There's no weed in this recipe. I figured he was going to send in pot brownies or something.
Seriously.
Right? Here's a good one for you. Everybody likes Doug Aldrich.
Yep.
But yeah, you just get the book. I mean, check it out.
Yeah, man.
Here's Ricky. He
Nice.
did black bean burger sliders with cilantros or something. I can't read. I don't have my glasses on, but yeah, check it out. If you go to Rockin' without a G, Rockin' Recipes for Autism.com, these sell for $29.95. That's super cheap, bro. I should have charged $40 for them, But I didn't know. I mean, I'm just saying these books are they cost me $12.50 a piece. So think about that cost.
Yeah.
Cost me about $25,000.
Yeah.
Not bad for a cookbook.
No, not at all.
But the problem was for me, it came out in the middle of COVID. I got these books. I was supposed to have these books in March of 2020, and I got them in May.
Oh.
I missed because April's Autism Awareness Month.
Yeah.
Now it did make Rachel Ray magazine, which I thought was pretty cool, but I couldn't go on any talk shows or nothing because it was COVID.
Oh yeah.
And now I'm promoting the doc, and actually I just talked today from somebody from the the Late Show with Seth Meyer. Right. The problem is they have a writer's strike.
That's right.
So everything's on reruns right now. So I'm just hoping I can hold on. I'm hoping the writer's strike will get over with quick.
Yeah.
Because it'll be hard to promote this thing a year from now.
Yeah.
Because it's all about timing, right?
Mm-hmm.
The thing about the cookbook that I do like, Angel, is that as far as the cookbook, it's got 3 purposes. If you want to support autism, buy the book. If you want to see what Ricky Rocket or Don Dokken or whatever they cook for the families, buy the book. If you happen to just like to cook, like my girl does, she's got her Martha Stewart or Paula Deen, and the thing about these books is they don't expire. That recipe is good forever. So that's why I like the book. The thing about music is you put out a song, dude, 3 months later, they're ready for a new one. If you can make it that long, it's a lot of quick turnover.
Yeah.
So, what you did today doesn't really matter what you did, 2 months from now. But the cookbook, I thought, well, at least with that, I could keep it going, But yeah, it's a passion project for sure.
Yeah, and you know what? We're passionate with the whole thing with autism. We know Bobby's husband wrote the act for people with disabilities.
Mm-hmm.
I work as a job coach with people with autism, so it's a cause that is really close to our hearts. So we all
and they say like
that.
I don't know the numbers because it changes every year, but it was like 1 in 45 or 1 in 55 people in America have some form of autism. It's a really when I think about it, when we were kids, sometimes you had that one quirky kid in school, but now they're just full of them. They have classes and classes and classes and classes of these kids. my son went to autism school. He went to regular elementary, 2 different elementaries, by the way. I had to pull him out of one, you know what I mean? Because they didn't know how to handle him. And then I ended up putting him in middle school. I put him in an autism school, but it was kind of weird because it was all different ages, and some of them were nonverbal. My kid won't shut up. Okay, I mean, he's a hyper kid. He talks a lot, but so it's just a weird setup, and each kid is individually different. With autism, you know, some of them just have a little bit, like I said, some are nonverbal. Some people eat the same lunch every day. It's about routine a lot. You know what I mean? And I just remember my son, who I can only really talk for, but you know, there was times he wouldn't take the stairs, or there's times that when he was a little kid, he used to wash his hands so much his knuckles would bleed. So he'd have a little OCD in there too. You know what I mean? And so each kid has a little bit of something. And the thing about these autism kids that I've learned is that they're really, really, really smart. You know, they say guys like Einstein, Elon Musk, for instance. That's okay. Perfect example. I live in Florida, so I see rockets go off 3 times a day now, right? I'm just letting you know. Back in the day with the space shuttle and stuff, it used to be once a month if you were lucky. They shot off 3 of them the other day within an hour. Within 1 hour, they shot off 3 rockets. So I figure Cape Canaveral in the next couple of years will just be a hub, like an airport, you know? Elon's out there. But anyways, what I was getting to is that my son looks at Elon Musk like I look at Jimmy Page. You know, that's his guy. You know what I mean? And so, yeah, you just got to be able to, like I said, these kids have feelings. They just have sensory overloads. Well, you know, Angel, you deal with them.
Yeah.
You know, sometimes you get this, or they get kind of like this when it's too much. You know, my son, I used to take him to, when he was younger, I used to go to like Hooters or something. You know, you want to get out and have a beer when you have a kid, right? So you go to Hooters where you can get that, but you can take the kid, but you can still watch the ball game, you know? And he'd freak out all the time if it was too loud or whatever. I mean, we would just have to leave. It's all about sensories.
All right.
So, yeah.
And awareness, because I know with one of them, when they get like that, it's just knowing that, hey, you know, they're not doing it, you know, to be rude or anything. It's just, I had a lot when he was a real little kid, like, 3, 4, 5 years old. We'd go to a playground and some kid would cut in line in front of him and it'd piss him off, right? And he'd throw a little tantrum and kick his legs and the whole deal, right? And somebody would say, hey, that kid needs his ass beat. And I'm like, look, you don't even understand. This kid's got autism. You know what I mean? And I mean, I almost beat that person's ass, right? So it's really tough. I will tell you now, my son just turned 22 years old, not even a month ago. And it's changed a lot since then. Since he's, in the last 15 years, it's changed a lot. Love it.
Yeah.
Love it. But so anyways, autism. Yeah.
That's Motley. He has to get involved with his 80s bands.
Yeah, I see he's doing the hair thing with you.
Motley would have kicked his ass too.
Right. But no, I like I said, anybody that deals with autism, there's a special place in my heart, and I understand it, and it's definitely a tight-knit community. If you say, hey, I've got a son with autism, or almost somebody knows somebody with autism at this point. And I don't know what's starting it either. I asked my son, I'm like, what do you think? He's like, these younger kids think that with technology, more people are known. You know what I mean? Like, I'm saying the social media, you can tell who does what and whatever. Because back in the day, we didn't know how many autism people were, say, in Oklahoma. You know what I mean? You don't really, but with media, you do. And he thinks it's part of that. But I really believe that I think it's vaccinations and food and water. And there's something going on. There's something going on. There's too many people with it.
Yeah.
So it's like cancer. I mean, what they say, 1 in 3 people get it. It's brutal.
Right, and it's like people still get it. All the money in research and all that stuff, and people still getting it.
Well, because there's so much money to be made from it. I mean, that's a whole other topic. You get into that story another day. You know what I mean?
I mean, my mother's medical bills was $500,000.
Yeah, that's insane. It shouldn't be like that. And that's And the other thing they do too, especially and my girl is a traveling nurse, and I hear all the stories. You know what I mean? It's worse than you think. But they do run a lot of stuff on people just to get extra money. They'll do certain exams, certain tests. They do that, when they say, oh, we're going to run the works on you. Yeah. So, I don't know what to say about that.
Well, I know we got you for like 15 more minutes, so I just want to go over some of the fan questions.
Sure.
Just to get their questions answered. This is from Jules.
Hey, Jules.
What was your first band?
What was the first band you?
Oh my
first
God!
band you did a show with, and what was it like?
Okay, so I've been in Nova X since I was 18. Literally about a month after I graduated high school, I've been in the band, and I've been in the same band my whole life. Now, have I done a couple other things and projects? Yeah, I have, right? But the very first band I was in was a band called Thin Ice that, believe it or not, I put together. I had a guitar player, drummer, and a guitar. I knew 10 songs, and went to a house party. There was 3 chicks there. It was all dudes and 3 chicks. I'm 13 or 14, and all 3 of the chicks tried to pick me up. So that's when I knew I wanted to be in rock and roll from that day on. And I ain't even going to tell you what happened to me that night too, by the way. That's what screwed me up. But no, I used to play skating rinks and, high schools and middle schools and battle of the bands and all that stuff. But I was a kid, man, 13, 14, 15, 16. I played in a cover band, 16, 17, 18. The singer was 22. All the other guys in the band were 30. And I was 17. But you know what I used to do back then? I used to go play bars, and it was a biker bar. We used to play. We were like a house band there for a long time. But I used to, at that age, I was in charge of the wet T-shirt contest. Yeah. I used to have the baby pool with a cannon thing on my back that would spray water. At 17 years old, and I made a lot of money doing that. So just the stupid shit. But anyways, even with that kind of stuff we're talking about, that's in the doc as well, by the way. Huh. So tell her, Jill, rent the doc, and you'll know all about it.
So what's on your musical bucket list now?
I don't know what I have left. I mean, as far as the whole museum thing, I mean, I got the Smithsonian, obviously Indiana State Museum coming up, the Hard Rock, so that's all covered. There's nothing left. The only thing I have really left that I want to do is I like to play Red Rock one time. I'd like to open up for AC/DC if I could. Nice. So that's about it. I think I might want to meet Paul McCartney maybe because he's a Beatle. He plays bass. But most of my stuff, most of my bucket list has been checked off.
Uh-huh. Yeah. And she had another question. How does self-esteem play a role over the course of your career?
Wow, self-esteem. Wow. Well, I mean, you got to have thick skin, right? I mean, here's the thing. When you go, oh my God, I seen Kenny on Seth Meyers. You don't know the 150 people that told me no first. That's the problem. I sometimes I get in these and I slam dunk them, and sometimes it takes. I mean, I got an Anheuser-Busch sponsorship for the state of Indiana back in the 90s when I was based up in Indiana. And then when I let the first doc out, I went out to California and got a national Budweiser sponsorship. But it took me a year and a half to get it, but I stayed on top of it till I got it. So you just got to be persistent. And honestly, you got to have thick skin. Like I said in the doc, that the thing that was the hardest on me my whole career is that you have to have everybody else's opinion of you is how you gauge yourself, right? So like with basketball, if you're an NBA basketball player, you score 40 points, you're a stud. With something else, but with rock and roll, where's the level? Where's the 40 points? How do I, so basically it's just, yeah. I don't know where I was going with that, but yeah, it's yeah. Hey, sweetie. Did I answer the question? Let me know.
Yep, here's a fun question. Is there anything you'd like to confess to?
No, absolutely not. I am so glad that cell phones and all that were not part of my reality back then, because we would have went to jail more than once. You ever have the dads knocking on your hotel door looking for their daughters and they're underneath the bed? I mean,
or the married chicks.
Yeah. That was the rock and roll life back then.
Okay. I have a question for you about gear. What do you prefer, playing the 4-string, 5, or 6-string bass?
Never played a 6-string bass, believe it or not. If I played 6-string bass, I would just be a guitar player. I play 5-string, but usually I just do the drop D. I've done it for so long. The only reason I would really need a 5-string is for detuning. And I did an album back in 2017 where we did a couple of songs. I really liked them. Kind of had like that pop evil, vibe at the time. They were kind of hot. But we detuned on that. It did drop D, and we don't even play those songs anymore. That was not the right thing to do. You don't really see that in that kind of rock and roll. Dropping, 5 strings, 6 strings and stuff is more for like Godsmack and that kind of thing. Pantera or something like that, where you're really dropping it low. But no, I don't want to work that hard, man. I don't have to relearn to play a bunch of stuff. No. I play 4 strings for a reason, man. I can hop around more, and be cool. I don't have to carry all the Marshalls and practice all night long trying to get that Eddie Van Halen riff, and let alone being a drummer, man. Can you imagine being that, carrying them drums around all the time?
Yeah.
No, man. I mean, I used to have a big amp peg and all that, right? That weighed 400 pounds. No way, dude. I just plug in now. I'm done. Too much work. Those days of trying to be super cool are done with that, anyways. So,
yeah. What other instrument?
Skin flute. I'm pretty good with skin flute. No, I played trumpet when I was in high school. No, I don't play any other instrument. If I did, I wish. If I could do it all over again, I would tell every parent to tell them. I think all kids should play 2 years mandatory piano. I do. I think, but the problem is, they've taken most music programs out of schools now. I mean, when I was in high school, dude, they had guitar club. I loved it. You know what I mean? Got to bring my guitar in. You getting worked out over there, Angel?
Oh yeah. I'm definitely gonna kick it right back up to Jay.
Yeah, absolutely, no problem. Yeah, Kenny, I'm a bass guy myself too, and I'm very loyal to 4 strings because I've also got small hands, and
Me too.
my musical stylings don't really change all that much. Where I'm bouncing around from stuff like Motley Crue to the 69 Eyes to Typo Negative. There's not too much over exaggeration I really have to do there. But I did want to ask you about the bass that you play, or the basses that you play, because it looked like a lot of the guitars that you're playing in your pictures have that Fender Telecaster body to them. And are they Fender basses, or are they like a custom design?
That's my baby, especially that gold one.
Yep.
I got an endorsement back in 2000, 1999, something like that. G&L.
G&L.
B&L. So it's Leo Fender and who was the other guy? Mesa Boogie or somebody. There was a combo on that. But we went out. I went out there to what's it, Fender Row or whatever it's called. If you ever get a chance, if you go to my Facebook, me personally, my page, if you look around back at some memories, you'll see me wearing. There's a picture of Leo Fender with that little eye thing and all his little pickups and stuff. He's always tweaking shit. I have that same shot with the headset on at his desk and everything. It was a pretty cool experience.
Oh, nice.
But no, which is basically a Fender, right? The G&L. I have a gold one they don't make anymore, and there's only one other one out there, and it's the bass player from Aerosmith, believe it or not.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and then the blue bass that I have, I've had it for 3 years now, and that was a crazy story. I knew a guy in Oregon named Dave Locke, and he does Lock Star Guitars. He's got a company of music equipment. He called me up and said, "Hey, I got this company, a guy out of New Jersey. I think he's the bass player for, I can't remember, man. He was like the bass player for, what's that song? Jay Giles Band."
Oh, okay.
Or something like that. And he makes basses, Dudicus. And so I was like, sure, if he's going to give me one, I'll play it, if I can play my other one. But anyways, long story short, one day it just showed up at my door, and I've been playing it ever since, just because it's new. Mix it up. But I still have that G&L. I got a shitload of G&Ls under the bed. So.
Oh, sure.
Yeah, but no, it's cool. I've been lucky that way, man. I haven't bought equipment since I was probably 20 years old.
Nice.
Yeah, been lucky that way. I had Ibanez for a long time, man. That was the first thing I got was Ibanez endorsement back in the 80s.
Oh, really?
1987, I got Ibanez. They were a startup company, and we got all those Ibanez's. What were they called? SDGs or SGRs or something like that. Matter of fact, I was talking about the Hometown Museum, the little one. I have a white one that's been beat to hell. I used to smash it. I replaced the neck on it and stuff. But they got it in a glass case right as you walk in. It's kind of cool.
Nice. That's awesome.
Yeah, and that little story. But even all that stuff I'm telling you now, it's at some point, somehow it got mentioned.
Yeah, I got like a bunch of goodies around the house and stuff like that. Like my black silver tone is like that's my baby, that's my ride or die. I call her Lizzie, and the thing about her that I really love is I'm what I like to refer to as a knob snob, because I really hate having just tons of knobs and tons of mechanisms on my basses and stuff. I'm like give me two or less preferably, but 3 I can handle. Like I've got a Dean Spire that I like if I really want to get nasty, but the thing's got 5 knobs on it, so it's really like kind of obnoxious, because I get kind of animated at times, and then I'm hitting knobs with my wrist and stuff like that, and it's just kind of annoying. But I a sawtooth bass that they had just come out with, and I really like that one a lot, because it feels good. It's got a good sound to it, a good tone. Sawtooth actually just in recent years picked up Michelangelo Badio as their big endorsement, because he had left Dean.
Yep.
And
he's in the cookbook too, by the way.
Is he? It's awesome. He's my favorite guitar player. Like specific to guitar, I'm a big Michelangelo.
You're talking about the two-neck guy, right?
Yep.
Oh, yeah. He's in the cookbook, and it's funny. If you ever go out, there's a video of us in California back in 1987 doing a live TV show. And,
really?
And we were opening for that guy.
Oh, that's awesome.
We played at some place in I forgot where it was at, Long Beach or somewhere.
Was that opening for Nitro?
Yes.
Nice.
No, I was back there. I was in LA between 87 and 92.
Oh, sick.
So I was at the tail end of it, but I was there. I was there 2 weeks before that movie got released. Decline of Western Civilization.
Oh, yeah.
It was 2 weeks from missing out being in that damn thing, I swear. And then Gazzari's and, the Cat House and the Whiskey and the Rainbow and the Troubadour and the Flyers and the whole bullshit. Did it all. It was crazy. I was there, back when bands were still. I remember bands back then that were still playing. The clubs were like King's X or Razor's X. Remember that with Paul Gilbert? That was
Razor X, yeah, man.
Razor X was a big one. Odin, which is in that documentary. Yeah,
documentary. Yeah.
But they were a local on the Strip. Seen Kenny Lane a lot. He was
Sean Duncan's playing in LA Guns now.
Yeah. Well, there you go. Is he playing in LA Guns or the Riley?
Phil and Tracy.
Okay, cool. Yeah. Well, I did a lot of shows with those guys. Great guys.
So that's awesome. Angel and I interviewed Johnny B late last year, who was the original singer for Seduce.
Okay.
Who was featured in that they're out of Detroit.
Right.
Johnny B is originally from Baltimore, and then he went out to Detroit and was the original singer of Seduce, and ended up getting canned from that band not long before they were featured on the documentary.
Yeah, well, that's how it always happens, isn't it? But, so I didn't get featured in that documentary, so I figured I'd just do my own.
Yeah, absolutely, man, for sure. And before we go into our final preparation and everything like that, we definitely appreciate your time and we want to respect your schedule. But if it's okay to talk about, because you had mentioned it to me in the lead up to your appearance, you've got a cool thing happening to you soon, if we're allowed to talk about it.
100%.
You are being inducted.
Yeah, so I'm going up to Indiana, where I'm from. And here's the funny thing about Indiana. I mean, I'm born and raised there, right? I even had the band based there back in the 90s after the grunge thing came out. And, but I've lived in Florida longer than I've lived in Indiana at this point in my life. But still hometown love. And so like I said, they're going to put up a jacket and a pair of crazy ass pants I bought from Forgotten Saints. I got these pants literally like 15 years ago. And I seen Rob Zombie was wearing them, and who's the guitar player that was with Guns N' Roses for a while? He played in
Buckethead.
No, not that one. The
DJ Ashba.
Thank you. He wears that stuff too. So when I went out there, I was like, I gotta get a pair no matter what. And she made me the baddest ass pair ever. Perfect. I wore them forever. Now everybody wears that stuff, right?
Yeah.
But
like Warren Star.
Yeah. Well, that was the next one, right?
Yeah.
But they got the pants and the jacket and an old concert T-shirt. And what's really cool about that, I'll be up there with, they've only highlighted certain Indiana people. So it's like the rockers will be obviously John Mellencamp, because he's like the Bruce Springsteen of Indiana. You know what I mean? Yeah. He's like the new, how Bruce is with New Jersey. Mellencamp, Axl Rose,
Yep.
David Lee Roth, Michael Jackson. And then after that, it goes into like all your basketball guys, right? Your Reggie Millers, your Larry Bird, who's that guy? Bobby Knight is in there.
French Lick, Indiana.
Yep. And then David Letterman.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he's from there. And then like Wayne Brady, I know who's in it, but it's not as many as you think. I mean, it's like 20 people total.
Right.
Well, I'll be one of that group. And I'm pretty excited about that just for the fact that it's a hometown and family and stuff. I think my mom will love that. You know what I mean?
So it kind of runs the gamut on like Indiana, like pop culture kind of thing.
That's what it is. It's just it's a Hoosier pop culture thing. I forgot how they call it. It's called the Hall of Hoosiers or something like that. They have the Hall of Hoosiers or something. But it's basically I was up there a month ago or 2 months ago now, and I seen the setup. You know what I mean?
Oh, nice.
Like, hey, how come I'm come on, man. Plus, for what it's worth, the documentary itself, I mean, it features a lot of Indiana in it. Yeah. I'll have to say, honestly, the majority of the footage I got was from that time frame, the early 90s when it was still before social media. And it's funny how you can just, you'll see us play a show and maybe we're in front of 10,000 people. And then halfway through it, you'll see us playing in front of 5.
Oh, jeez.
With an empty trash can. So yeah, it's just weird how it just went. And I explained why I didn't jump ship. You know what I mean? Because I didn't know anything else. We tried to like I said, I eventually bought army boots and I eventually bought a flannel shirt and I eventually, but way too late. Yeah. So my thing in the story on that part of it was chasing trends. As soon as you chase a trend, you're already too late.
Yeah.
If somebody comes out tomorrow and you're like, oh man, I love Nirvana, right? And I'm just going with the grunge thing. Well, then how many bands came out right behind that? Every one of them.
Yep.
I mean, I remember having managers in LA going, dude, cut your hair, get you some boots, and move to Seattle. That's what guys were telling me when I was living in LA. I'm like, I'm not going to Seattle. I'll just go back. And then I explained why I went to Indiana. You'll see that in the documentary. But there's a reason why I went there, and that bought us more time.
That's awesome.
Smaller market, bigger fish vibe. You know what I mean? And I went in there with that whole LA mentality, flying and just being aggressive as hell. Mm-hmm. And I took that to Indiana. They didn't know how to handle us, man. I mean, I remember one time I played a club. The guy was a prick. And I played this bar, and we have our logo, as you see it behind me, right?
Yeah.
And what I did was we went in early that day, and we took flyers, and we spelled the name of the band out in flyers, right? But I covered the whole freaking ceiling, man. It took them like 2 months to get it all down.
Oh, jeez.
But that's how we used to leave our marks, just doing crazy stuff.
Yep, the Great Flyer War.
The Flyer War. LA, just on a Saturday night, it'd be that thick.
Yeah.
Flyer, and you take another guy, and they all look the same. All the bands look exactly the same. Hell, half of them sounded the same.
Yeah. That's the one thing I always did, at least is from one of the things I heard in the Great Flyer War that I gave Poison a lot of credit for, is it was well documented in various interviews and stuff when they would talk to those guys, as Brett would be like, oh, dude, we went out and bought this hideous, like bright neon green paper. So we were doing our flyers on these like neon paper. So they like really popped, where everybody else was kind of the standard, like white, black, yellow kind of thing. We just had this like hideous neon green highlighter, like flyers and stuff.
Well, you think about those bands, what the difference between a lot of bands and a band like Poison, right? Is at the time you had 4 mothers that were just kicking ass. I mean, all 4 of them were aggressive. They all were aggressive. They were all basically like leaders. You know what I mean? Like everybody's doing their part. And now, like I say now, like, just because you play guitar doesn't mean you can write a song. It's true, right? I mean, there's a lot of guitar players that can't write a freaking song. They might be able to play somebody else's song, right? Just because you're a singer doesn't mean you can promote yourself. You know what I mean? I mean, I went into a Waffle House, not even that long ago, and the big girl that was behind the counter could sing like she was on American Idol. She's also, 58 years old and, 200 pounds, right? And ain't going to work. There's no backstory there. But, I mean, there's talented people everywhere. Yeah. It's all about timing, who you know. It's really about timing and who you know. I mean, let's be real. And now it's all about money. which was about money back then too. But I mean, you don't understand. I reached out to a couple of national shows, regarding the cookbook, right after COVID. And you don't understand, nothing's free.
Yeah.
I'll say this one. This one happened. So I reached out to the Steve Harvey show. They're like, yeah, $10,000 for 3 minutes. You think the people on Saturday Night Live get on there for free?
Right.
They don't. The labels, the management, somebody's paying for that. Everything's paid for, man. There's no free anything. I remember a show. It was a hair metal-y show. It's in the title. Okay. And you know exactly who it is. I spent and tracked him down. It says hair metal show, right? In the title. Call him up. I'm like, hey, man, I got this blah, blah, blah. It's a hair metal. I mean, I'm selling it, right? I mean, I'm telling you what I'm doing. And they're like, how much money do you have from promotion? And I didn't know what to say. I was like, $2,000. I didn't know what they wanted from me, right? Hung up on me. So what I'm saying there, so you guys are like totally cool, right? You're spreading the love, you know what I mean? Yeah. Guys shots, but not all of them do that.
Yeah. What
are you going to pay for? What are you going to do? I mean, look at the radio stations now. 80% of all the stations are owned by iHeart.
Yep.
Well, they have the same song list for all the stations. And it's the same bands. Think about the bands. It's all bands that are paying money to be on there.
Because other documentary type stuff is because you guys were also featured in Here I Go Again.
Well, those guys were my buddies. I ran them down. They're from Tampa. So I knew they were doing a doc, and I was like, hey, how do I got on it at the very end. but yeah, that was cool. We did that. I did a couple episodes of a thing called Insane Pools. It's on the Animal Planet and DIY channel. They do these crazy ass pools, right? And we had at the end of it, we're doing like an unveiling. It was us playing, and that's in the doc as well.
Oh, nice. And as one final fun kind of goofy question for the Hoosier Hall of Fame, when they inducted Bobby Knight, did he throw a chair?
That's what I asked him too, by the way. You know what I told them though? I told him, this is what I told him straight up. I said, look, here's all the stuff I'm doing. I'm from here. I promote Indiana. I do. I don't deny that I'm from there, right? And Bobby Knight will never, ever, ever show up to this place, but I will. So yeah, so I'm definitely going to represent.
Oh, that's killer, man, for sure. So Kenny, we really appreciate your time, man. We want to let you be able to get on with your evening to take care of everything. But before we cut you loose, man, please tell all the fans where you can be found, both yourself, Nova Rex, and the documentary in the book.
Well, as far as social media, it's Nova Rex Rocks everywhere. Twitter, Instagram, freaking what is left. I mean, Facebook. You can go to our website, which is novarexrocks.com. And as far as the documentary goes, it's available. I haven't looked at all the places. It just came out last week. But it's you can go to Amazon, Walmart, Best Buy. You just got to Google it. And as far as the documentary, like I said, it's on Prime Video. You can check it out. And I think you can buy the physical copy maybe from there as well. Nice. 75 minutes of crazy rock and roll mayhem. And as far as the cookbook, which you can still get, again, rockinrecipesforautism.com. This is a beautiful gift. This is a great for your rock and roll fans. This would be a great Christmas gift too. Good stocking stuffer, you know what I mean? And it's one of a kind. I know you said you had somebody else that had a cookbook.
Yeah.
Musician. What I mean, was it like his own cookbook of all his recipes or whatever?
Angel, who did we have with the cookbook?
I was just curious.
I completely forgot.
Okay, but was it a cookbook of a rocker that he did it by himself, like all his recipes, or was it a collaboration like I did?
I think he did it by himself.
That's what I'm saying. So what I was getting to is this is still a one of a kind cookbook, man. I've not seen anybody do one yet. So I even got a pick in there. I had to jump in it. I almost didn't even get it in the cookbook, by the way. I didn't. No, because I felt, these guys I look up to, you know what I mean? And I didn't really, I thought it was kind of weird. But then the distributor, the manufacturer, actually, he said, look, man, you're spending all this money. Get the damn cookbook. I'm like, okay. But I squeezed me at the very end.
The very, very end there. Yeah. In the fine print.
Yes. It's all good, though.
I'm just glad to be in association with those guys.
Absolutely. And what does Nova Rex have going on for the rest of the year?
We got kind of a weird schedule. I know Biketoberfest is coming up in a couple weeks in Daytona, so that's always big for us. I've been asked a lot of gigs, but unfortunately, my guys right now in my band, everybody's taking vacations.
Oh.
And I get it. I mean, I'm getting ready to go up to Indiana for a week, and I'm not just going there. I'm going there for that, and then I'm going up to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, and then I'm probably go to Kings Island and have some fun. Ride some roller coasters, just do some Midwest stuff. And me, I'll probably stop at a TV station or radio station. Matter of fact, my girl was up in Alaska right before Christmas. And I've never been to Alaska before, right? So she's going up there as a nurse. I'm like, well, I'll come up there for like 10 days. What did I do? I jumped on TV. I jumped on an iHeart station. I'm bored. I'm just like, who's the iHeart station? Hey, what are you guys doing? Can I come in? I got a new song. They're like, okay. I mean, I'm in Alaska. When am I ever going to get back there, right? And the thing, it sucks for those guys. Beautiful up there, by the way. There's just nobody comes to Alaska. I mean, I had somebody go, hey, you should have do a bike rally up here. I'm like, how the hell are they going to even get here with their bikes? Right. It's Alaska. So it's kind of funky, but it's they legalize weed. So that's something.
There you go.
Yeah. And you can drive down, you'd be at a stoplight and see a moose walk past you right down on the road. That happened to me, actually.
That's how you can get an Enough's Enough gig up there.
Right. Well, yeah. I didn't,
We love you, Chip. He's an alumnus of this show.
Great guy, man. Talented guy too, right?
For sure, absolutely. I mean, everything he's done from like Enough's Enough to Steven Adler to the Choir Boys right now. I mean, it's all just great stuff.
He underrated, talented cat. Sure.
Absolutely, 100%. But Kenny, thank you so much, man. I really can't appreciate you enough for picking up the phone, man. When I was like, hey, bro, I got a slot. Are you down? And we really appreciate you, being down for the experience, trusting us. And the biggest thing that matters to me and Angel is that you had a good time. Like, did you enjoy yourself? Did you feel that it was worth it? And did you feel respected in the questions that were asked of you?
I think it sucked, and I couldn't wait to get out of this as quick as I can.
Oh, God damn it.
I'm kidding, man. I'm kidding, bro. No, you guys are great. Listen, I appreciate guys like you. I mean, you're trying to keep the music alive. You're trying to keep it going. And I really appreciate it. I mean, we just talked for an hour about how tough it is out there these days, right?
Yeah, man.
Any love?
Yeah, an hour 15 minutes.
What's that?
An hour 15 minutes. Sorry, bro.
It's all good, man. I got more stuff. I'm still unpacking, believe it or not. So, but I appreciate you guys. Thanks for having me on. Nice. Happy birthday again, Angel. Jay, I'll see you soon. And
absolutely. And I'll talk to you over the weekend for sure.
Let me know how you like the doc, for real.
I definitely will, man. 100% I will. Metal Summoners, thank you guys so much. On behalf of Kenny Wilkerson and Nova Rex, we really appreciate him for his time. Make sure that you're following Angel Alamo 78 on Instagram. You can also find him on Facebook. You can find me on Instagram at Justin R&R Junkie, and you can find me on Facebook as well. So we appreciate all of you guys. Thank you so much. We'll see you guys in a week for another bitchin' episode of the Metal Summit. On behalf of Kenny Wilkerson, when it comes to Nova Rex, and on behalf of Angel and myself, we love you guys. We'll see you guys in a week. Have a fantastic weekend and be good to yourselves. Be good to